We are told that monsters belong to the nursery, that the things that go bump in the night are merely the static of a tired mind trying to make sense of the silence. But in the autumn of 1970, the suburbs of Virginia learned a different truth, a darker truth. They learned that the most dangerous thing in the world isn't the ghost you can't see. It's the man standing in the center of a moonlit road, wearing a hand-stitched mask and holding a hatchet. This is not a ghost story. This is a study in collective psychosis, a deep dive into the failure of the American machinery to contain its own fallout. What began as a series of bizarre police reports evolved into a decade-long hunt for a figure that mocked the very facade of suburban safety. Behind the urban legend lies a trail of institutional neglect, escaped patients, and a bridge that became a portal to a very real hell. Tonight we peel back the skin of the legend. To understand the terror, one must first understand the blueprint. Fairfax County, 1904. The world was changing, and the local government decided it was time to cleanse its landscape of the unwanted. They ordered the closure of a local asylum. They called it a transfer of wards. We call it a catastrophe. A steam train, overloaded with the forgotten souls of the state, jumped the tracks near the Colchester Overpass. The iron buckled. The steam scalded. In the chaos of the wreckage, the machinery of the law failed. Most inmates were accounted for, eventually. But two names remained as shadows on the manifest: Marcus Walster and Douglas Griffin. The search lasted for months, but the woods of Virginia are deep, and they are hungry. For 1 year, the valley grew silent. Then, the rabbits began to appear, not as pets, not as prey. They were found skinned, gutted, hanging like grisly ornaments from the rusted iron beams of the railway bridge. A warning or a menu? When the authorities finally cornered a man they believed to be Griffin near the tracks, he didn't run. He didn't scream. He simply stood there and laughed. A hollow, rhythmic sound that drowned out the wind. Then, he walked directly into the path of a midnight locomotive. He left behind no body, only a name that would rot the valley for a century. For decades, the story was dismissed as folklore, a campfire tale designed to keep children away from the dangerous heights of the railway. But the machinery of fear never truly stops. It only idles. In 1970, the engine restarted with a violent shudder. October 19th, 1970. The illusion of safety, that thin veil we wrap around our families, shatters in an instant. Robert Bennett, an Air Force Academy cadet, is parked on Guinea Road with his fiancée. The radio is playing low. The world is perfect. Until the passenger window explodes. A figure emerges from the blackness. He isn't wearing a cape. He isn't a shadow. He is wearing a white suit with long, floppy ears and a face made of dirty, hand-stitched burlap. He screams about trespassing on his land. He swings a hatchet with a mechanical, focused rage. This was no ghost. This was flesh. This was blood. And the machinery of the Fairfax police was completely, utterly unprepared for a man who had turned a child's toy into a weapon of domestic terror. Why the rabbit? In the deep architecture of the human mind, the rabbit is a symbol of two things: fertility and vulnerability. It is the ultimate prey. By donning this skin, the attacker was performing a total subversion of nature. He was the prey turned predator. He was the victim turned architect of fear. 10 days later, the figure appears again. A security guard at a new construction site finds him hacking away at a wooden pillar of a half-finished home. He wasn't just killing time. He was deconstructing the American dream, one hatchet swing at a time. By the end of the month, over 50 reports had flooded the station. The figure was everywhere and nowhere. He was a phantom in a floppy-eared mask, and as the sightings increased, the community's collective sanity began to decay. Neighbors looked at neighbors. Basements were locked. The machinery of the suburbs was grinding to a halt. We investigated the archives. We looked for the records of the 1904 crash. We looked for Marcus Walster and Douglas Griffin. And we found nothing. No train wreck, no escapees, no Marcus, no Douglas. The origin story was a facade, a lie designed by the community to explain away its own inner monsters. If the legend didn't come from a train wreck, then where did he come from? The answer is far more clandestine. He was a product of the collective unconscious. He was the dark side of the post-war boom. He was the fallout of a society that tried to bury its madness under fresh concrete and mown lawns. In 1973, historian Brian Conley began the long process of deconstructing the myth. He found that the story of the escaped lunatic was a psychological anchor, a way for people to blame an outsider for the rot within their own zip code. But Conley's research couldn't explain the hatchets. It couldn't explain the broken glass. The bridge still stands today. They call it the Overpass of the Rabbit now. It is a site of pilgrimage for the morbid. But the legend has a final, devastating climax. In 2001, an abandoned basement in a nearby township was finally opened. Inside, investigators found a costume. It wasn't synthetic. It wasn't store-bought. It was made of dozens of real rabbit pelts, crudely stitched together with copper wire. It had been rotting in the dark for 30 years. The man who wore it didn't vanish into the woods. He didn't die on the tracks. He integrated. He is the neighbor you wave to at the mailbox. He is the quiet architect of his own disappearance. He is the man who knows that a mask doesn't hide the face. It reveals the soul. Every Halloween, the police block the road to the overpass. They aren't protecting the bridge from the people. They are protecting you from the bridge. Because they know that beneath the facade of our civilized lives, there is a primal, hatchet-wielding chaos waiting for the sun to go down. What are you afraid of when the lights go out? Sleep well?